The bang was so loud it rattled windows 3 houses down, sharp metallic final. Every dog in the cul-de-sac exploded into barking at the exact same moment. I didn't even need to turn around to know what it was. That sound was my garage door slamming shut, followed by the rapid, unmistakable clicks of multiple deadbolts snapping into place. And standing there in front of it, arms crossed, jaw clenched, like he'd just fortified a bunker in hostile territory, was my father, while 3 massive HOA trucks sat trapped inside my garage. That was the exact moment I knew this wasn't a normal HOA dispute anymore. This wasn't about trash bins, mailbox colors, or grass height. Whatever invisible line separates annoying neighborhood rules from something far darker had already been crossed, and crossed hard. My name is Ethan Cole. I'm 45 years old, an IT consultant, a husband, a dad of 2. And until all of this happened, someone who genuinely believed that moving into a quiet suburban neighborhood was the adult version of finally winning at life. Cedar Ridge Meadows looked perfect on paper. Manicured lawns, clean sidewalks, neighbors who waved politely but didn't pry. Kids rode bikes in lazy circles until the streetlights came on. It was predictable, controlled, comfortable, and that should have been my first warning. The HOA existed, sure, but for years it was background noise. Emails about trash bins being visible too long, notices about mailbox paint. A polite reminder once that our Christmas lights stayed up 2 days past the approved window. Mildly irritating, easily ignored. I thought that was as bad as it got. Then Lauren Pierce became HOA president. The timing couldn't have been worse because that was also the year my father Hank moved in with us. Dad is 72, a retired Army mechanic who spent decades fixing heavy machinery in places where authority actually mattered. He respects rules when they're logical. He despises them when they're arbitrary. Fake power makes his skin crawl. Lauren, on the other hand, thrived on it. She was HOA perfection incarnate. Razor-sharp bob haircut that never moved. Lipstick always immaculate. Heels that clicked against the pavement like punctuation marks. And a clipboard that seemed permanently fused to her hand. She didn't walk through the neighborhood, she inspected it. Every smile felt calculated. Every friendly reminder carried an edge that made you feel like you'd already failed some invisible test. At first it was small things. Notes taped to doors about trash bins staying out too long. Emails about mailbox colors not matching the approved palette. A passive-aggressive comment about my lawn edging. I shrugged it off. Dad didn't. "She's not managing," he muttered one night, chewing on a toothpick. "She's measuring. People like her don't start big. They start quiet." I laughed because the alternative, taking him seriously, felt dramatic. I shouldn't have laughed. One afternoon I came home from work to find a white bakery box sitting neatly on my porch tied with a bow. Inside were 6 blueberry muffins so dry they could have doubled as emergency building material, and a handwritten note taped to the lid. It started friendly, a reminder about my trash bins. Then came the real message. Per temporary HOA Ordinance 47B, the association would be using my garage for equipment storage that week. No request, no explanation, no conversation, just a declaration. Dad read it once, then slowly looked at me like I'd just stepped into traffic. "She's testing boundaries," he said. "If you give her this, she'll never stop." I laughed, because who just takes someone's garage? The next morning I found out exactly who. 3 massive unmarked trucks rolled slowly into my driveway like a coordinated invasion. Heavy engines, industrial frames, no logos, no markings. They didn't look like landscaping vehicles or maintenance trucks. They looked like something you'd see parked behind a government building. Lauren arrived right behind them in her white Lexus, smiling like this was a favor. She waved cheerfully and told me they'd only be there a few days. When I protested, she casually mentioned Ordinance 47B again, like that ended the discussion. Before I could even finish a sentence, one of the drivers walked past me, typed a code into my garage keypad, a code I never gave anyone, and rolled all 3 trucks inside. I just stood there. There's a specific kind of violation that doesn't register as anger right away. It registers as disbelief, like your brain refuses to accept what your eyes are seeing. This was my house, my garage, and someone had just taken it without blinking. Dad didn't say a word. He stared at the garage, jaw tightening. 2 full minutes passed. Then he turned to me and said calmly, "Get me the locks." Within half an hour, my garage was sealed like a fallout shelter. Chains, deadbolts, steel bars. When Lauren came back demanding access, Dad didn't argue. He called the sheriff. When the patrol car pulled up and the sheriff calmly explained that HOA rules do not override private property rights, Lauren's smile cracked. She left furious, muttering about consequences. The truck stayed. That should have been the end of it. Instead, it was the beginning. Over the next few days, the neighborhood felt tense. People walked their dogs slower past my house. Curtains twitched. The community Facebook group exploded with rumors. Some people quietly thanked us. Others avoided eye contact, like standing too close to us might put a target on their backs. That night, just after midnight, I heard a faint metallic clink outside. Not loud, not careless. Careful. Wrong. I nudged Dad awake and we peered through the window together. There she was, Lauren Pierce, HOA president, dressed in black leggings, a hoodie, latex gloves, crouched beside my garage with bolt cutters. My stomach dropped. This wasn't enforcement anymore. This wasn't about rules. This was obsession. Dad didn't grab a weapon. He grabbed the remote for our motion-activated sprinkler system. The water blasted her full force. She screamed, slipped, scrambled to her feet, and ran off soaked and humiliated. By morning, the ring footage was everywhere. People laughed. Someone made shirts. The neighborhood treated it like entertainment. I tried to laugh too. But something about those trucks wouldn't let go of me. 3 unmarked vehicles, guarded like secrets. That afternoon, curiosity beat fear. Dad and I cracked one open. What we found made my stomach drop. Inside wasn't equipment. It was surveillance. Monitors stacked like a command center. Cameras disguised as birdhouses, rocks, lawn ornaments. Audio gear. Storage drives. Manila folders, thick ones labeled with neighbors' names. Schedules. Behavioral notes. Potential leverage. I flipped through file after file, feeling sick. People's routines. Visitors. Notes about finances, arguments, habits. Things no HOA should ever know. Then I found my folder. Cole Ethan. Priority. My chest tightened. I don't remember sitting down, but suddenly I was. In that moment, everything I thought I knew about safety shattered. I felt exposed, watched, stupid, like I'd failed my family by believing this place was safe. That night I couldn't sleep. I sat at the kitchen table staring at the evidence until my coffee went cold. My mind spiraled. Maybe I should have just unlocked the garage. Maybe pushing back had escalated things. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I'd dragged my family into something dangerous because of pride. I caught myself wondering if I was the problem. That thought scared me more than the trucks. I seriously considered giving them back, letting Lauren win, just so things could go back to normal. That's when Dad spoke quietly without looking at me. "This is how people like her win," he said. "They make you doubt yourself until you hand them control willingly." The emergency HOA meeting the next night was packed. Lauren stood at the podium, composed, polished, furious beneath the surface. She accused us of illegally detaining HOA property. She waved papers. She spoke about community order and cooperation. Dad calmly stood and produced records showing her ordinance had been voted down years ago. Then I stood up. My voice shook at first. My heart pounded so hard I thought I might pass out. But once I started, the words came fast. I showed them the photos, the equipment, the files, the notes, the leverage lists. The room went dead silent. That's when Julia Reyes, Lauren's former assistant, stood up. She had backups, emails, financial records, proof Lauren had been selling resident data, not just monitoring profiting. The sheriff stood. Federal agents walked in. Lauren tried to leave. She didn't get far. As she was escorted out, there was no cheering, no celebration, just the quiet collapse of someone who had built power on fear and control. Later that night, I stood alone in my garage, empty, quiet, normal again. And I finally understood something I'd missed from the beginning. Control doesn't make a community safe. People standing together do.